Russian President Vladimir Putin recently visited North Korea. Well, what's the big deal? Presidents visit other countries all the time. Whoever thinks Putin's visit was ordinary is wrong. This visit was very significant, and it was huge. The meanings, the signs, the messages, and the outcome of this visit in today's live stream. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. No propaganda, BS or lies here. As usual, only truth, common sense, and logic. And some emotions, because I am a human being after all. Before I start, please be informed that this live stream will consist of two parts. This message of Putin's visit to North Korea and the outcomes, and a prayer at the end, a short prayer at the end. Before I start, well, I'd like all of us, you and me, to look at the big picture. To us Russians, North Korea was always an example of a failed state. Yes, failed state. It was the standard of the worst that can happen to a society. That's basically a disaster that can happen to good people. Well, North Korea and Cuba, actually. I remember I went to Cuba and I was looking around and I was thinking, and there are only two countries left at the time like that, Cuba and North Korea. When we discussed North Korea, we always remembered the USSR saying, look, that could be us now. Well, I think it wasn't just for us. North Korea failed state wasn't just for us, but for the entire world, for you too. But I want to emphasize, North Korea was the example of the worst terrible that could happen to us. Heck, could happen to anybody. We never took North Korea seriously. Never. It was like an evil clown. Heck, even in the USSR, people laughed at North Koreans and North Korea. We had this magazine called Korea, and it basically was a propaganda pictures showing us how wonderful Koreans were living at the time, and we knew. Even at the USSR, people looked at that magazine, looked at those pictures, and laughed. Well, things are a little different now. Well, a lot different. I dare to say more. Things are actually quite unbelievable. It's unbelievable how different things are. I'm sorry. I'm trying to stress this thing. Okay, now it's completely different. And it's different not with North Korea. Heck, North Korea hasn't changed a bit. It's the same. The change happened to Russia. In 2024, Russia became North Korea's closest ally. It's true, Russia doesn't have an ally closer than North Korea now. As two countries signed a comprehensive strategic partnership treaty that includes both countries pledging to assist each other if attacked, militarily. North Korea was one evil clown in the world, but now there are two. And that's my country too, Russia, that joined the company, and that company is not honorable. Okay, now let's find out what happened. And then we'll talk about the goal of the visit and the outcomes. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited North Korea. It was his second visit. The first happened in 2000, when Putin just became the president of Russia. And visiting North Korea then was a very brave and actually a smart move on Putin's side. Putin was trying to establish himself as a real president of Russia, so the entire world would recognize him as a powerful leader. Then 24 years passed, and many things happened. A comparison of Vladimir Putin's to visit to Pyongyang makes it clearly see the direction of both Russia and North Korea heading to in the new century. In the year 2000, Russian president visited North Korea as a representative of the global world, the world that overcame totalitarianism, the world that was moving into the bright future. And Putin dreamt of becoming an intermediary between the rogue state of North Korea and the international community. He wanted to fix things between North Korea and the rest of the world. North Korea and Cuba were actually all that was left from the Cold War, the remnant of the past, a mistake that soon would be fixed. All of us were sure of that. 24 years later, Putin approached the current visit in the status of the outcast of an even bigger caliber than Kim Jong-un. Putin failed to bring North Korea into the world community, but he brilliantly managed to bring Russia into North Korea. You know, Soviet leaders disliked, even despised the Kims, the ruling dynasty of North Korea. The Soviet leaders knew the value of their own henchmen and their true origin. They knew that the Kims were only the barbarians and arrogance of mediocre people in power. The Kims were tolerated only for the geopolitical reasons. After all, it was the USSR who created North Korea. And the first Kim was a Soviet citizen. He had lived in the USSR before, and he was an officer of the Red Army. So, all Soviet leaders despised Kims. Not a single Soviet leader in all the existence of the USSR, in all Soviet decades of so-called friendship and cooperation, ever came to visit North Korea. And Putin visited twice. And not just visited, it was sort of a celebration. It actually reminded me staged visits and fake celebrations that we had in the USSR. And I want to show you so you can see for yourself. Check it out. This is Putin coming to North Korea. Please note that Putin is in good health, or he appears to be energetic, feeling well, looking fairly good. That's to those critics who say that he's not in good health. Unfortunately. And lovely friend is meeting, hugging, and it's too bad they weren't kissing. And this is a little different angle. One of the top Russian propaganda person, his last name is Zarubin, as you can clearly see on the screen. This guy reminds me of a Soviet reporters, but he's more lively, he's more modern, so to speak. And this one I absolutely love. Folks, check this out. This is good stuff. See how many people around, standing in the background? How many hot air balloons? Is it balloons? Yeah, helium balloons or whatever. Everyone is so organized. And of course, the anthems. And the Russian delegation right there behind Putin. I think that you can see Lavrov behind him. Is it Lavrov? Folks, I want you to see something. I want you to see the kids out back, happy and cheering and waving their flags. And I want you to see the people in the background over there also cheering and standing, by the way. Remember see they're screaming. Folks, I wanna tell you one thing. This is very personal to me because that is my childhood. That reminds me of the country where I grew up in, the USSR, so bad. It's actually unbelievable. This is the smell, the taste, the color of the USSR. We as kids were forced out of school to meet, to stand on the street to meet some important guy. That didn't happen too often in Rostov, okay, once in a while. But every time we were forced out of school, we were given days off. People were forced, workers were forced out of factories. Brings memories. Not good ones. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. Look, these people are dancing out there, and it's not like they're doing it for themselves. In the dancing, there's a Russian song, old Soviet song, basically, there's a song. The meaning of the song is, the words are, the USSR is the greatest country in the world, and I don't know any other country there where people breathe so freely, okay? And this is what they were singing in North Korea. Well, they were playing that song, old Soviet song. Stalin loved that song. That was written back in 30s. And this guy is seriously, seriously, he's enjoying that. To us, when I was growing up, it was shame. And to him, he's praising it. He's happy about that. He's joyous. Look at these kids. That's me. That's us. 40 years ago. That's us 40 years ago. Folks, look at them. You see, those people are standing, and they're forced to stand there all day, and they cannot leave, and there's no option not to go, because they're going to be punished. That's what the USSR looked like. And this fella in the car is so happy to say, look, we're going to be driving for 30 kilometers, 20 miles, and these people are standing greeting us for 20 miles. Look how wonderful that is. This is insanity. I don't know what to tell you. I despise that. That was the worst the USSR could offer, had. And he loves it. He goes, well, perhaps all Finyan capital's inhabitants are here. Well, I bet, and they have no choice. Poor people, right there, and they're forced to wave and smile and sing and scream. Oh, hey, I want you to take a look at this car. Okay, this car is Aros. It's called Auros in Russian, and it's official Putin's car. No, the thing is, it's assembled in Russia, but it's used Porsche, German car manufacturer, Porsche's not spare parts, but details. It's built on Porsche platform. And they're so happy that it's Russian. Well, it's, why don't you call it like Aurus Porsche or something like that? This looks so familiar, you know. It's actually unbelievable. It's might as well be the USSR. The picture is absolutely the same. I mean, obviously our TV sets were much lower quality, and the picture itself was lower quality. But the whole thing, that the North Korean army, even it looks like the Red Army of the USSR. I'm going crazy. I feel like I'm back to my childhood.
부친 동지는 이에 깊은 사의를 표하면서 최대의 성의를 담아
Those
마련한
presents that are given to Kim Jong-un. I guess Vladimir Putin, brought him presents, and he also brought him a present. He gave him one of his cars, Aurus.
평양회담은 반제 자주를 이념적 기초로 하여 정의와 진리의 길로 줄기차게 나아가는 두 나라 인민들의 강국 건설 위협에 거대한 활력을
More presents, that this time to Putin.
Наша программа вскоре услышала еще и лай собак. Эти кадры в российском телеэфире впервые. Пхунсана – редкая корейская национальная порода собак. Их ценят за сильный характер и энергичность. При дрессировке хозяину требуется терпение. Наша программа увидела, что дрессировку Путин...
을 통하여
Вы вчера сказали, что Аурус подарили Ким Чен Ыну. Так мы же уже ему дарили Аурус.
This fella, I don't know who he is, but is asking. We already gave a gift of Aurus some time ago. He says, well, this is the second one. That Aurus was different. That was a long version, and this one is short. Why don't you just give some spare parts, Porsche spare parts with this Aurus? And now finally the Tsar is leaving. Oh, what a wonderful time in North Korea. You know, folks, I took the official videos of the visit, how Russian official propaganda, because Zarubin Reporter is one of the top propaganda people. His official press was approved by Kremlin's press service. And then he has a Telegram channel, he films a lot, and that's all the information comes from him as official. And I just showed you official info. Reminded me of my childhood again. People wanted to go back into the USSR so bad. Well, there you have it. You are back there. Your leader acts as if he was a Soviet Bonza leader, you know. Insane. But anyway, enough of emotions. So what was the goal, a real goal of the visit of Vladimir Putin to North Korea? Now let's talk about what do Russians need from North Korea, really? I mean, it's no-brainer. It lies right on the surface. They need weapons and people. Very, very much, very badly. And what does North Korea needs from Russia? Food, space and missile technologies, and avoiding sanctions. But that's only what lies on the surface. I don't think that's why Vladimir Putin came there, because about 6 months ago, Kim Jong-un visited Putin in Russia, and then they striked some deals. And so Putin didn't just come for weapons and people. There were reasons that lay underneath the surface, and let's try to talk about them. Both Kim and Putin are desperately looking for getting accepted. Putin wants the entire world to see that he still is the leader of the world's caliber, that he can travel outside Russia and not get arrested on the warrant of the International Criminal Court in Hague. And if the developed countries understand that the value of this visit is very low, North Korea, what's the big deal? Many people in Africa and Asia and perhaps Latin America, they see it otherwise. They do see Putin traveling to outside Russia and not getting arrested, and that brings his image up in their eyes. Kim wants to be involved. And in the first time in his reign, he is involved, making important alliances, showing the world that he is back, that he is important, he is needed, and he is the player. He's not just the leader of a mistake country that soon would have to be fixed. No, he is the leader. He is to be taken seriously. Both Kim and Putin desperately need allies. Both now hardly have any. Kim desperately needs some leverage on his master, China. He needs some space to maneuver. Putin desperately needs to show the world that he is still the global trendsetter. That all could be predicted, That's just doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that. The biggest surprise of this visit was the strategic partnership agreement. The surprise not just to me, but to all the experts. None of us expected that. Everything else could be considered as blah, 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 and just another visit of Putin to kind of like, get him more respect a little bit. So everything else was blah, 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 but not that, not the agreement. Putin called the agreement a fundamental document that will form the basis of relations between the two countries for many years to come. At the press conference after the signing of the agreement, Russian president said that it provides for mutual assistance in case of aggression against one of the parties. And that is huge. He also noted that Russia does not write out military technical cooperation with North Korea in accordance with the signed document. Kim Jong-un said in turn that the treaty is exclusively peaceful and defensive in nature. Yes, we've seen that and done that, and Russia is also defending itself from Ukrainian aggression and from NATO countries. Of course, on the Ukrainian territory. Russia doesn't have such an agreement with anybody else. It's basically Article 5 of NATO. And that is a big deal for the country. It's a huge deal. This is a commitment of a cosmic scale. This shouldn't be a decision made by one man. People need to get involved. Yet, Putin made that decision alone. Does Russia need that? Well, before answering that, I'd like to thank you, those of you who bought me coffees at buymeacoffee.com. Thank you so very much. Your support shows that you value what I do, and it gives me incredible feedback. It just inspires me, gives me energy to keep on going, and it's great. Thank you so very much again. Now, Russia most certainly doesn't need this agreement. It doesn't need to ally with North Korea and to protect it militarily. This agreement is poison for Russia. Yet Putin signed it. Well, Putin needs it. Why? For the same reason he needs Houthi forces to attack international ships in the Red Sea. For the same reason he needs Hamas to attack Israel. For the same reason he needs China to attack Taiwan. For the same reason he needs North Korea to attack South Korea. Putin needs chaos. As much chaos as possible. That will take the eyes of the world's community from Ukraine to somewhere else. Just as it happened on October 7th. You all remember that, don't you? That will thin out the support of the world community away from Ukraine. Less attention, less money, less weapons, less everything. And it is the real reason Vladimir Putin visited North Korea, to plant more seeds of chaos. Did he succeed? Time will tell, and we will know very quickly. His visit will backfire. His goals, whether he achieved them or not, they will backfire. There are 3 unexpected results that Putin instantly received from this trip. First, he angered South Korea, the army number 6 in the world, and that's the truth. A leader of high-tech world and high-tech weapons, the country with huge reserves of advanced weapons. And on top of that, South Korea did not support Ukraine, but it was more or less neutral. Well, South Korea is not neutral anymore. The authorities just announced that they support Ukraine, and they're considering supplying it with high-tech, latest weapons. That is the answer to Vladimir Putin signing the treaty with the North Korea. The second result, Putin and Kim the third, they just traded places. Kim actually is a smart guy. He was educated at a Swiss school. He went to school in Switzerland. He received, and he was not educated by North Koreans. He was educated by the Swiss. Okay, he received what could be the best education in the world. He inherited ideology along with power, and he uses it as a tool to retain power. He uses it to simply stay alive. Without power, he's instantly dead. In the same way, he inherited international isolation. Putin, unlike Kim, created international isolation himself. It's his choice for the country and for himself. He is building the new regime now himself. Everything, its slogans, its institutions, he is building new ideology. This is not inheritance, but that's Putin's own handwork. So basically, Kim the Third and Putin, they traded places. And the third result, Putin has put even more uncertainty into the heads of Russian people. Imagine seeing something black, and the government, everyone around you, tells you it's black. Then, overnight, things change. And the very same people who yesterday were calling black black, now calling it white, and act as if they themselves truly believe it's white, okay? And this is what I started this live stream with. North Korea was a clown state for all of us, was a living satire Russia was among the first countries putting sanctions on it. The last time Russia put sanctions on North Korea was just a few years ago in 2017. Russian propaganda went irate. It was so proud of the sanctions, bragging on every corner how Russia was helping world's community to keep North Korea in its place. And all of a sudden, literally overnight, the very same people start praising the very same North Korea, saying things like, oh, North Korea is the freest country in the world. What? Do we really believe that? Can we believe that? Okay. We have spent last 40 years knowing the truth about North Korea. Now you're telling us that this is the freest country. It's the least freest country in the world, okay? They keep on saying now that, oh, North Korea is doing fine economically despite unfair criminal sanctions the evil West has placed on it. Russia has placed sanctions on North Korea, not evil West, you know. Russia was one of the first countries, you know, in the avant-garde of this whole sanction in North Korea thing. And no, North Korea is not doing well financially, you know, and Putin mentioned that in one of his speeches, saying, despite, you know, you have withstood all the sanctions, bull crap. This doesn't go well in heads of some people in Russia. I underline, in heads of some people. Because most Russians buy it, but some people don't. And if you remain in Russia and you lead usual life, when you hear such metamorphosis, you can go a little crazy bit by bit, you know. This might have such negative effect on people's mental health, you know. You might, they might, you know, people might get succumbed into radicalization. And then, guess what happens next? Things like the attack in Derbent and Makhachkala, things like that might happen. Moreover, they will be happening more and more. And by the way, the attack is still going on. There's a huge fight. The city of Derbent is basically under siege from the locals who turned radical terrorists, and they start shooting everyone, cops, and the whole 9 yards. And things like that will be happening because people go crazy bit by bit. They lose values. They lose direction. They lose, you know, sense of country in their heads. By the way, more news like that will be coming up. And if you want to keep up with the news like that, sign up to become Inside Russia patron at patreon.com, where I post 9 carefully selected news with my commentaries and analysis every single day. So if you want to keep up with latest news, what's going on in Russia, you know, sign up. The link is down below. So whatever goals Putin had when he went to North Korea, he came back with the results that will be hurting Russia even more. You know, I know. It's hardly possible, but it's possible, you know. He is the worst leader Russia has ever had. He often talks of Russia losing sovereignty. But he needs to shut up because he has destroyed Russia with his own hands. He is the reason Russia will cease to exist soon. He is the worst leader my country has ever had in the history, and he is the reason it will die. Folks, things have gotten even worse since he came back from North Korea. Oh well. Well, now I'd like to invite everyone to pray with me. It's going to be a short prayer. If you're religious or not, please join me anyway. Thank you so very much. Let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day, giving us food, giving us roofs over our heads, surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful, and raise them in a way that when they grow up, they will make this world a better place, will never engage in any wars, but love each other. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine, stop the bloodshed, reach out and touch the hearts and souls of those who are responsible and capable of making the decision to stop the bloodshed, wake them up from the lethargic sleep, have them feel human emotions and love again, so they make the decision to stop the bloodshed. And please help every single Ukrainian who has been affected by this terrible tragedy. Answer their prayers and make the wishes come true. Please help my country, Russia. Assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords into your heavenly army led by Saint Michael, and send it down to this earth to get rid of the demons that have hijacked my country, who we know by names and by their faces. Send angels to help good Russians to run Russia, make it peaceful, loving, and respecting. Please help those who are traveling, send them safe travels. Who are in high waters in danger of any kind, send safety. Please help single mothers who are struggling, trying to make their ends meet. Please help those who are hungry, addicted, sick, homeless, jobless, depressed, betrayed, not feeling well about themselves, losing their faith, and feeling alone in this world. Please reach out and touch the heart of every person. Feel it with love. Show everyone that you are with them. You watch every step they take. You help them. You never leave them. You love them. Please help the people in need in any way they need help with. Thank you so very much, dear Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Friends, now I'd like to invite you to learn how Russian ruble is turning into chaos. I put another video, the link is right here.